where you can really, I think if you can zero focus in, just hyper focus in,
Right.
I really feel like either A, if you don't have a client, you can get, this is that window, right? Because you got to figure we're halfway through July, so we got August, and then we jump into Labor Day, right? So we really have to push right now, next 40 days to kind of take our next level of business.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And what does that look like? Everyone's obviously eager to make that first move and trying to grow their business, but what does that next 40 days actually look like? I'm coming to my office. What should I be doing? How should I do it? How often should I do it?
A couple things. And if you don't want to spend any money, you don't have to, right? Use Google Sheets and Excel or something like that, right? And use your calendar.
Yeah.
And number one is get OpenAI. Get yourself a nice AI tool,
right,
that ChatGPT, right? And start to utilize that to help build your prospecting list.
Okay.
Because I think that is, if you connected with anybody, let's say you haven't actually got a client yet, if you've connected with anybody in any industry or any area, go straight into ChatGPT, type in, hey, this business is someone I like. Can you list me 10 other businesses that are similar within the same area?
Right.
You know what I mean? And you just keep having those conversations over and over.
Right. So building that pipeline. And I like how you kind of did it in a money affordable way, right?
Yeah. No money. That didn't cost anything.
Cost anything so far. And how often are we doing this? You should be doing this daily, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to grow your book of business or trying to get your first shipper. You almost don't really have a day off at this time, like, especially if you're putting everything you got into it.
Yeah. Yeah. You should definitely be hitting, the kind of that 3-tier sales approach. Number one, pick up the phone and leave a different type of message. I don't care what it is. Just leave a different type of message. Don't sound like I got trucks in your area.
Yeah. What's up, Tire Killer?
AI is the devil. I agree. Tire Killer, what's up, brother? How you been, man? Tell us how you been. I'd love to know where you're at.
Yeah, hope life's good.
Yeah, I do too. But obviously, you need to hit the 3 tiers, right? Number one is pick up the phone, leave an action item, sound different, and I'm talking about just introducing yourself. Hey, this is Jared Ross, over at eCarrier Check or whatever the name of your company is, and just say, hey, I really look to help, provide solutions specifically around supply chain, and we'd love 10 minutes to talk about your business. I think this would be something else that you might do is call a manufacturer, call a factory, call that and say, hey, I started a brokerage. I'm not looking for any of your business. What I am looking for is tips that may, that could help me, or can I have a tour of your facility so I can understand more about how this process works? Try to find some educated mentors in the space that you like, right? When you quit selling and try to add value, boy, you're going to add it real quick, right? You're going to just kind of do that. So sound different, right? And then after you reach out, obviously leave an action item on that voicemail, send them an email if you can find their email. And then I would hit them up on LinkedIn. I would also, just see if you can find them on any socials for that matter. Some people get a little crazy on the socials.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think the most important thing too is I think you should still be yourself and relax. Like, if you sound timid or if you sound scared or even if you you sound like you really don't know what you're getting into, like those people could tell over the phone.
Oh, so, very quickly.
Sound relaxed, but also be professional. And I think the action item is super important too.
Yeah.
And the follow-up game is where it's at, right? Everyone wants a yes on that first call, and it's not realistic. And I wish people kind of understood that more.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many yeses you got on your first call in your years of brokering.
It's minimal.
Right.
It's minimal.
You always said it's the follow-up process that kind of makes that money and providing value. So, for those of you that don't know, Jared used to broker. I don't know if you remember your first day getting your first customer, but if you can kind of reflect on that, how much was, how much grind did you put into it?
Yeah, there was a lot. I remember, I built a pipeline, and there was a specific type of equipment that I was good at back in the day, right? And specifically, it was around a certain part of the country. I liked the Midwest. I liked open decks. And so I also liked, certain things that I knew maybe have a little cyclical aspect to them. So there's a ramp up period. And a reason why I like the cyclical is usually when there's ramp up, that means there's overflow. and not all of the providers can help with each lane, right? And so my focus is I called, this is when I got into shingles and roofing aspect.
Right.
And I started calling all those people and started working my way through each of those, focused specifically on the Midwest, focused on that. And I remember my first client didn't come until my 9th call on that one client.
Okay.
I started calling him in February.
Right.
I didn't get him until June 15th.
Mm.
And I remember that very well because it took lots of phone calls, lots of voicemails. I sent multiple handwritten letters. I sent multiple like PDFs, like just kind of a nice printout that I did.
Yeah.
And people, respected that, hey, this guy's consistent. Maybe we give him a shot in Nebraska or give him a shot in the Midwest, or at least let's see where his pricing is. Right.
No, I like that. I mean, the handwritten letter is different, right? You talk about making yourself different or different from your competition. This is a competitive industry. Yeah. I think the handwritten letter is kind of a different twist to it. I enjoy that.
Yeah, I really liked it. So, I mean, I think when it comes to sales, especially right now, this is a good time to get in. We're still in a tough environment, right?
Oh, yeah.
So why not, if you can get through this, wait until the market flips. Right now, I don't know, Jeff Dickinson was on Wednesday. If you haven't watched that show, he threw out some incredible value on that show. Go back and watch it. But, something that he said was, and he's a zig before your zag. He's not making cold calls.
No.
He's got very relationship specific, and he's very value driven.
And he's worked hard on building his brand too.
Yes.
Like he puts himself out there and grinds and posts consistently. People come to him, they flock to him.
Yeah. With that mustache, I would too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that mustache was everything.
That's awesome.
I definitely think that what he said the other day of just being different, being unique is so important. I mean, gosh dang it. Hey, what's going on, man? How are you? Good to see you.
Thanks for being here.
We're just chatting. We're talking on sales today, talking on, what the next 5 months look like. And I don't know, I'd be interested, Tigran, how's your sales process going? I know it's tough out there. Have you landed your first account? Have you, where are you at?
Yeah. So. And I love because when you came into this industry, obviously you put your time in and effort in to kind of get to where you're at today, and you had your niche back then. You talked roofing, open deck stuff, and that's what's beautiful with the Carrier Check is you. First off, you can make as many phone calls as you can make in a day with your Carrier Check.
Oh yeah.
There's no credits, there's no limits. You can add to your pipeline. Now, I don't think you should add every shipper to your pipeline because not every shipper is going to be a good fit. It's not going to meet your checklist, but it's up to you to kind of go through the details on that. But with the Carrier Check, you can get really specific with finding these shippers. Maybe you are good with open decks and you talk the talk. Or maybe you want to stay in the roofing business and call some more roofing companies.
Right.
You kind of get where I'm going with that. What's up, Chris?
Chris,
I heard sales. It's like my best.
It's
my
the
bat
signal. I love that.
And you're like our Batman, so I love that. He's here.
I love that show. If you guys haven't gone back and watched that show,
Chris,
man, that guy dropped some value. I'm a big fan of that cat.
Huge fan.
Plus, they had a really nice studio.
They have a really nice building. We need to go visit that.
We do need to go. Plus, we have shirts from there.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I thought I had it.
I wore my. This is what I call a professional tee.
Yeah. Big fan. Thanks for the shirts, Chris. But yeah, Carrier Check is definitely it's a unique tool. I mean, we're month to month, which I love, and you can run as many shipper searches as you need. You can vet carriers there. You can kind of see where they're running and kind of what their niche is as well. I had another guy, his name's Vince from Triple Double Logistics. He's awesome, and he's like, Nate, I just need to shake it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So what he's doing now, he's calling carriers in his area or in his region, and he's asking about their company, their business. Are there any shippers they're trying to go after that they're having a hard time with?
Yeah.
Carriers at times don't have enough time to make sales calls.
Right.
Guess what?
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Vince is out there calling these guys, these carriers, and like, give me a list of your shippers you want. I'm going to call them.
Yeah. Here was something that I thought was interesting. I had a broker call earlier this week. I won't say his name, but I am going to tell his secret. Had a rep close a customer by utilizing the carrier to find a carrier in a tough market this morning. Carrier is dead ending 250 pickup. See, I freaking love that. Right. That's awesome. Love that. What you just said, this is exactly what this broker said to me the other day. He goes, I've got to mix it up. I'm not having luck at all. Mm-hmm. And so here's what I'm going to do. and he was specifically looking for companies that hauled machines
Right.
and companies that had the word machine in their name, which you can do on eCarrier Check. We can
Right.
sort all of our bill of lading database by the word machine, right? So he did that exact thing. He looked up the word machine sales wise, made a list, right? And then started calling carriers in those areas that are specialized in machine, which you can do on eCarrier Check, and started just to kind of call and piecemeal them up together. And wonderful conversation. We have a follow-up next week to find out how it's been going. But that's an interesting way of going about it. Why not call companies? Hey, I see you like to haul machines. Yeah. What do you got?
Right.
Well, that's a good question.
Right. For sure. Yeah, Tigran, it looks like you're still no luck with my first customer, man. Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, this is why we're talking the talk today and on how you can hopefully start getting to that point. And, you know, you just got to mix it up a little bit, I think. And you got to stay consistent. You can't give up. Yeah. I mean, you're putting everything you got into this. You got to fight. I mean,
I am a big believer that you should try to measure if you feel stuck, right? If you feel stuck in your sales process, I would definitely start to just ask for different people in the organization, start to track the times you're calling, the days you're calling, right? Start to track some things so that you can kind of go, man, I suck in the mornings, but in the afternoon, I hit my stride.
Right.
But in some particular cases, like my wife and I, this is kind of interesting. My wife and I are literally yin to the yang. She could stay up until midnight, and 9:30, I'm going to bed.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm up at 4:45. She's not a morning person, right? So sometimes you hit your stride in the afternoon. Sometimes you hit your stride in the mornings. You know as a person which one you are, right? So keep track of those things, Tigran, because I really feel like it's important, to not only, go, hey, Mondays don't work for cold calls, but here's what I can do on Mondays.
Right.
But Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I've had a lot of luck. Or, hey, I'm not doing very well in the Northeast. Maybe I need to start calling in the Southeast and start just to measure all those little things so that you can kind of get a handle on. You can't measure what you don't track.
I agree.
Right. And you gotta do those things sometimes.
And I think too, when you're making your sales calls, like if you work for a company and they're like, yeah, you need to make 50 a day, like make those each call worth it. Like don't have that attitude like, all right, you got to do 50 today. I'm just going to try to call and I just want to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Like, no, don't think like that. I think you have to honestly think about the positive here. You have to think about, what happens if I do get this customer. Think about your goals and your why. Like, don't just do it just to do it. You have to like make it meaningful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know they suck, but like, if you feel like they suck and you just don't, and you dread it, like that other person on the other line is going to be like, yeah, this person probably got told to make a call today and doesn't really want to call me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you have to have some effort and actually care. Like
I'll tell you the intentionality. You'll find this funny. The intentionality I had with roofing. Okay. I can't say I've ever hung a shingle. I've never hauled a shingle.
Right.
I don't know a lot about it. Right. And so what I did is I started calling carriers that have hauled shingles. And when you have to make those 50 calls, I think the goal shouldn't be, I need to get a client today. The goal should be, how do I become an expert after making 50 calls to make sure that I'm asking the right questions? And what I did, this was awesome. I'd call carriers that knew roofing. I'd say, hey, have you hauled shingles before? What was the worst thing about hauling shingles? All right, what's the best thing about hauling shingles, right? And then all of a sudden I could start talking the talk. And every time I call and talk to a shipping manager of shingles, like, oh yeah, and I literally just blabbed out the same thing that carrier said.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so try to become an expert, even if you have to make 50. How can I ask questions to become an expert at what they're saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like that. That's different.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to become an expert.
And I did. I just literally blabbed out whatever the carriers were saying. Yeah. I did the exact same thing.
Yeah. I love that. You're kind of you're putting yourself in their shoes and you kind of really get a good feel for that.
It was. It's a different approach. Yeah. Yeah. At this point, I think right now you have to differentiate yourself so drastically. Just, hey, I don't post up your loads on load boards or, hey, here's 3 things that are different about me, and I'd like to see if that may be a fit for you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. It truly does break my heart when I have people call me and they're like, "Nay, it's just not working out." Like, can't find a customer.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm never one to be like, well, how many calls did you make today? What did you sound like?
Yeah.
And we always offer people to send us cold call voice recordings. Nobody does.
Yeah.
You should do it. There's people here that want to help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you just got to be willing to step out of your comfort zone and take some feedback. And we give good feedback. We will tell you what we think you could do better. Or,
you destroyed that guy.
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding.
I was like, you made how many calls today?
I'm just kidding. Kidding.
But no, you just got to make it meaningful, and T. Harris said, it's got to have some value.
I've been focusing on the follow-ups lately, putting more effort into it. Never thought I would get a response to the quote after 4 follow-ups. Yeah, I mean, people just want to know what, and that we could do an entire show on how to quote properly. Right. I mean, right now it's like, well, how do I get a quote? There's a lot of quoting technology out there. You could ghost post a load, I suppose, if you wanted to go down that road. But a lot of people aren't calling off load boards. So in my mind, get on ECC, look in that area and say, hey, I've got 3 of these loads. They're coming right out of your area. What would you need for something like this? Is this something that you'd like to haul? If the first trucking company gives you a rate that you think may be odd, call another one. Yeah. There's more. Right. You know what I mean?
And I think, too, when you take that quote back to that customer, in my opinion, you shouldn't up it crazy. You're not going to get rich.
Get them in the truck.
Load.
Yeah,
right.
Get them in the truck. Right. You know what I mean?
Create that relationship, and the money will come. The money will come as long as you put yourself out there.
Focus on value first over monetary.
Exactly. Think of it of a relationship status and not just a income or what's the best way of putting it? Like transaction.
Yeah.
That's
Jeff I really loved how Jeff on Wednesday talked about, it's not a transaction. It's more of a relationship.
Yes, right.
And I think that's important to take that moment. If you do get set up, Tigran, I think I'm saying his name right. Am I saying that right?
I think so.
I hope I am. I'm sorry if I'm not. But I think it's really important that you've got to make sure that you're speaking the same language that shipper is, because not every shipper is for you.
Right.
And when he sent you a quote, not only are you being put into an interesting situation where you're becoming a transactional person, right? Because that's all it is. In some particular cases, it's transactional. So you've got to think about it, apples and oranges, in the sense, how do I take this, quote situation and turn it into a higher value situation, right? So even if they send you a quote, take a moment, write up 3 to 5 to 10 questions about his operation, about their closing time, about the customer expectation. Hey, I'd be happy to give you a quote, but I got a few other things that I'd like to ask you. Either could we hop on a phone call and talk? Because there's nothing better than having a conversation, right? Even if it's over the phone or in person, right? But at least this way, once he hears that you're trying to add more value, you're trying to understand this, then maybe it'll transition over from a transaction to a relationship. And that's really what you got to get through, is that little awkward period. It's no different than dating, there's this awkward period where you got to understand each other, and you got to set expectations, and you got to have conversations about what do you like versus what do I like? Or, the first time I saw somebody, I got throwing this out there. You and I love Mexican food.
Oh gosh, do we?
Love Mexican food.
Love heartburn.
But I got to say, I went over to a friend's house. I remember this day vividly. I was 10 years old, and his mom made these fried tacos, and I was like, "Yeah, sign me up." And we got to the table, no kidding, and she squirted ketchup on that thing, and I'm like, what happened? Did I just lose this? I'm like, what's going on here? I wasn't used to growing up with ketchup. So your shipper, you got to find out, is your shipper putting ketchup on his tacos? You know what I mean?
That's the best way of putting it.
What's going on? So you've got to understand. I think take it from a quote to a discussion and try to get into, hey, I'd love to give you a quote on this. I see some pricing, but I would like to know some other things that go along with the variables. And that's open times, close times, expectations. Does it need TARP? Does it not? Is there appointment? Is, what kind of billing do you need? I go into these things not only with the mindset of, hey, I'm going to win this load, but I also want to know, what do you expect from me after the load's delivered?
Yeah, for sure. Ilya, hey, I saw you on our show Wednesday. I know you have some good questions. So if you had some more questions, feel free to shoot them. And Gerald, I saw your comment too on our one of our videos, actually.
He's a Colts guy.
Yeah,
I like that.
And you have some experience in sales too. You're just trying to find some success. So I wish the best for you.
Yeah, keep grinding, brother.
Yeah, hit me up, and I can show you. We could chat it up and kind of hear what's going on with your business and where you're at, and see what we can do to help you.
Absolutely. Chris is saying you want some recordings. What do you want? Objection handling, tough gatekeeper. What we like, Chris, is just somebody to literally put their phone up or their computer up and just record themselves making cold calls. We don't have to hear the person on the other end. We want to give you, there's 5 points in a cold call of tone and speed and things like that we can help with, that we've identified to continue to give a successful call. And I think that's really something that's important. So starting a week, Gerald, get them up there. Yes, I just got hired. Congratulations, man. That's fun and exciting. I appreciate that. So.
Yeah. Keep just grind, man. Grind it out, and we hope we wish the best for you. So best of luck.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one thing too, I wrote down here. Nothing ever comes to you. So Gerald, this is something to think about too. Like I know you have. You dabbled in sales, so you know what to look for when it comes to details.
Yep.
You probably understand the follow-up process, and nothing's going to come knocking on your door. You got to get out there and do it.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, Jeff, how he doesn't need to make a sales call because people come to him.
Yeah.
If you're starting from the ground up, you got to start putting yourself out there, start posting, start, handwritten letters, DMing people on LinkedIn, whatever it may be, but get yourself out there for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see what you got here. I just switched brokerages and lost all customers, starting from the bottom, trying to get better with sales. So you help a lot. Yeah, it's tough when you lose your book of business.
Oh man,
starting over. Man.
Yeah, when you're starting over, not only are you kind of getting used to who am I working for and what do they offer and what's some of those things, but you're also trying to get used to, getting back out there, making phone calls and doing it all over again. So
for sure.
Make every call and enjoy it.
Yeah. Let's see here. Just stick with it. What seems so hard now will someday be your warm up for sure.
Yeah. I always thought it was interesting. I thought I would land for whatever reason. I had this weird mental block where I was like, well, here's the 5 people that I really like. And the guy that I actually ended up closing in the roofing industry wasn't even on that list. It was actually somebody actually told me, you should call this guy. I did. We kind of hit it off. And that was how that process started. And so, make your list, but don't be, sometimes you judge a book by its character. You're like, they have their own trucks, or, oh, this doesn't look right. This is something I like on ECC because we show you, all kinds of interesting things when it comes to carriers and if they have their own trucks and things like that do come into play. Even the hiring index, things like that, where it's an important aspect to being able to make those decisions. But don't just judge a book by its cover when you're calling shippers. Call, find out, and go.
I agree 100%. My previous job, I had to make 100 cold calls daily, trying to prepare for logistics brokering since it's new to me. Couple of things, I think personally, we just had this talk, about if your company makes you make 50 calls, you get that opportunity to do it. You know what I mean? And I think you take that opportunity and make it a good one.
Yeah.
Have some value in that call, but trying to prepare yourself for logistics brokering for sure. I know you commented on the training, if I should invest in training video. I think you should, because you'll learn basically the ins and out of brokering, how it's done, right? Maybe rookie level stuff, but when you're talking cold calls, like this is why Jared and I do what we do. And if you follow people on LinkedIn, I mean, there's a whole list I can ramble off. Chris White, Will Jenkins, Dennis Brown. Like there's so many people I can name off that give out free advice or content on LinkedIn that seriously, it's like they've been through it, they found success in it, and they're just giving it to y'all for free. So get on LinkedIn and connect with me, and I'll send you their names. But they will definitely help you kind of take it to the next level, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think it's worth to invest in yourself, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to do it the right way, I'm trying to decide which training to get. There are a ton.
Yeah.
Just find out which maybe mentor or trainer is best for you, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you connect with them
from
well.
there.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of like Dennis Brown stuff, and I think that's it. He does some nice stuff. Charles Mundy, those two cats, man, they grind, and I love what they do. So
yeah, they're good.
Just sent a tough gatekeeper disqualification call. I love that. Thank you.
Dude.
That's so good, man. We appreciate you doing that.
You're our number one right there.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate it, Chris.
He's always sending us stuff.
I love it.
Shirts, videos, we'll take it.
Study your POC and try to have a little head advance and who you contact. Yeah, that's what I love about eCarry Check, man. Like, you know who you can be asking for.
Yeah,
you know what you're getting into. So it's a nice technology to have for sure. I think people need to leverage that kind of tech too. When you get to that point, but you need to leverage it.
It's better than just trying to Google things.
It is. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's probably half the battle. When I first started, I was buying leads and lists, and it just, some of those, they were just outdated. This is why we created it. I felt like there was a need for this specific thing. So
I'll let Jared run up this, but I'm having problems with getting through the gatekeeper all the time. What is the best way to a manager right away? On eCarry Check, I'm going to keep flexing us today, but on eCarry Check, we have that ability to give you the name who you can ask for right away. But Jared has made many phone calls or sales calls on our channel and while he brokered. So give some advice for our fan here, or for our customer, Ilya, I believe. I hope I'm saying that right.
I think you are.
I hope so, but give her some advice, or him some advice on getting through that gatekeeper.
Yeah, a couple things. If you have a name, then perfect, right? If you say, and let's just say, for the sake of it, Dennis Brown is the shipping manager. Okay,
I love
it. If I call and I say, "Can I speak with Dennis Brown?"
Mm-hmm.
You're almost better off calling and going, "Can I speak to Dennis?" Right?
Yeah.
I think that's more important, right? So if you have a name, if you don't have a name, don't sweat it. It's not the end of the world, right? And the gatekeepers are brutal. Well, they have to take breaks too. And so one of two things: either A, try to connect with them, right? They're answering hundreds of cold calls. They're not just getting cold calls from logistics companies, they're getting cold calls from vendors, all these things, right? I mean, the accounting guy is getting cold calls for software for accounting. And you see, you don't see where I'm going with that. So I think it's really important that you try to relate with them and get their name right away so that they know that they're a person too. Right. And that's something that I do. I talk to the gatekeepers. I don't mind it. Whether that's the right way or wrong way, that's just how I do it. Right. And sense their tone and speed. You can feel it. If they're in a hurry, you're in a hurry. If they're slow, you're slow. If they don't mind talking, you talk. Right. And so I think that's something that's important to get through, right? You can also call if they're in a hurry and they're just literally one of them guys or gals that are just sitting there. You remember I always think of like the old cartoon where they're pushing the buttons into the old phone systems. You know what I'm talking about, like back in the day. You can always just ask for shipping. Right. Hey, can I talk to somebody in shipping? And they'll be like, well, what's it about? Well, I'm calling about a load, Yeah. Sometimes you can say, well, I'm calling for a load next week. Right? There's other ways around it too. Just ask for somebody in accounting.
I was just about to bring that one up.
You know what I mean? Like just ask for somebody in accounting, or ask for a sales guy or gal. You know what I mean? At least they understand your grind.
I love the creativeness that you bring to like cold calls.
Yeah.
Like, they're hard to get through, those gatekeepers are, but you found some really creative ways to get through.
Watch some of our videos. They're kind of entertaining. But I am a big believer in trying to relate to these people. Make them laugh or make them smile in some regards. Tell them they did a good job today. I don't know how often people do that. So it's something to kick around.
Yeah, Gerald, just hit me up, man. We will definitely show you eCarry Check before you invest. I mean, that's what we do here. We want to make sure we get you comfortable with the tech. You know how to use it. You know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
So just hit us up.
Yep. Absolutely.
Eli, you are, man, all good. You will look into eCarry Check as soon as I have a couple of customers. Just save a lot of time. Yeah. No rush. Just hit us up. We're always here.
Absolutely.
Like I said, the one thing I love about eCarry Check is, especially those for you that are prospecting, it's unlimited searches.
Yeah.
Honestly, you can prospect for days on here, and lots of good enriched, information we bring to those guys. So it's a really nice tech to have, in my opinion, for prospecting. But Jared, it's we're at that 30-minute mark today, and I really appreciate. Where's your LinkedIn? I missed it. Just search Nate Marquez, NateMarquez, and then link up with me there, and then I'll send you Jared's stuff as well. You can link up with them.
Yeah.
But any closing thoughts, tips for everyone watching today?
Here's a couple things. Fridays are kind of this weird relaxed day, right? We're all in a different mood. We all have theoretically kind of have the next couple days off. Maybe some of you that do have clients that expect weekend aspects of things, you kind of have to do it. Take advantage of this morning. People are laid back, a little more relaxed. If you were in a bigger city, print off a little sheet about your company. It doesn't have to be fancy, but try to make it less hand-drawn than make something. Get on Fiverr and pay somebody $6 to make you a little handout. Get some business cards. Put on, clothes. Get out of your sweats, right? Comb your hair, brush your teeth, and go out and make, 15 calls. Just walk in and say, hey, I'm a local guy. Here's what I do. I don't know if this is a service you need, but just try it. You would be amazed at what you can gain of experience. You're going to get told no 15 times. I'll tell you that right now. You're probably going to tell them we don't take sales calls. We don't take people soliciting. Yeah. They'll be like, hey, can you read the sign? No solicitation, right? There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. You're just trying to offer a service. Walk in, smile, and see what happens. Mm-hmm. I promise you just doing that process will make you better on the phone, make you better in that aspect of things. So get out, and do those things. I think it's super important. So take advantage of the rest. We got a little bit of time here. Pick up the phone. Let's see where it goes. And measure your success, whether it's good or bad or indifferent. You got this. You do.
I love it, man. Thank you so much. Everyone watching, make sure to give this video a like if you felt you got some value, and subscribe to us. Hit us up. We'd love to meet up with anyone watching, honestly, and love to hear about your business and see how we can all